It was 2 in the morning and I was sitting by myself in the hospital pumping room. The air smelled like cleaning supplies and old coffee, and the only noise was the steady hum of the machine. My name is Clara, and I'm 33. My daughter, Lily, was 1 floor below me in the NICU, fighting to survive. She was born at 28 weeks, a tiny little thing weighing just 2 pounds. I was drained, I was scared, and I really needed my family. My hands were shaking as I typed a message into our picture-perfect, old money family group chat. Lily is having a tough night. Please, just send your thoughts her way. A few minutes later, my phone lit up. It was from my Aunt Eleanor, the woman who basically runs our family. It wasn't a text. It was a photo of her, smiling in a glittering evening gown on a stage, posed perfectly. The caption said, "Honored to represent our family at the City Children's Charity Gala tonight. #giving back, #family legacy." Have you ever had your most painful moment completely ignored, or even turned into someone else's opportunity? Tell me your story in the comments. That picture, it wasn't just a bad timing. It was a message. It was a perfect example of my whole life with them. You see, in my family, we weren't just relatives. We were a brand, an established name in Philadelphia, obsessed with reputation, charity events, and most of all, appearances. Our lives were managed from the perfect, wood-paneled office of the family charity, and its unofficial director was my Aunt Eleanor. She'd taken over after my mom passed away. She wasn't kind, she was practical. She guarded the family's image like it was her job. Anything that wasn't perfect, charitable, and strong was treated as a problem to be solved. My husband, Mark, a software engineer, was an acceptable choice. He was successful, he looked good in formal wear, he got their approval. But my job was a quiet shame. I'm a social worker. I work with complicated, underfunded charities, the ones that handle mental health crises and housing insecurity, the kinds of issues Eleanor's charity liked to fix from a comfortable distance with a big, public donation, not by getting personally involved. Clara is our compassionate one, Eleanor would say at family dinners, which was her polite way of saying I was emotional and a letdown. My biggest failure, in their eyes, was my trouble having a baby. Mark and I had tried for so long. We went through 2 heartbreaking miscarriages. Each time, the family's reaction was quiet and detached. They were treated as private, unfortunate incidents, as if my sadness was in social embarrassment. When I told them I was pregnant with Lily, Eleanor gave me a thin smile. Well, let's hope you can manage your stress this time, for the baby's sake. That's why the quiet after Lily's early birth was so loud. The emergency delivery, the fear of a 28-week preemie, this was my ultimate failure. It was messy. It was emotional. It was everything our family was not. And that picture from Eleanor wasn't a mistake. It was a declaration. I am at a gala, showing our family's strength. You are in a hospital, showing weakness. Get it together. In that moment, I knew I was totally and completely alone. Those first few days stretched into 6 weeks. 6 long weeks of complete isolation. My world became the size of Lily's isolette. The NICU is its own world with its own language and rules. You learn to talk in grams and oxygen levels. You learn which beeps mean the baby just needs a reminder to breathe, and which ones mean pure panic. Lily was so small, just 2 pounds. Her skin was translucent. I would sit by her plastic bed for 12 hours a day, reading her stories I was supposed to be reading in her nursery at home. The silence from my family was overwhelming. I'd send little updates to the group. Lily gained 15 grams today. She's off the breathing machine and on a simpler mask. My father, Robert, would reply with a single thumbs-up emoji. My stepmom, Carol, said nothing. Mark was my anchor, but he had to return to work to keep our health insurance. He'd come in the evenings, worn out, and we'd sit by Lily's bed holding hands, like 2 shadows in a room of machines. The only real comfort I found was from people I didn't know. In the pumping room, I met other moms living the same nightmare. We were a tired, heartbroken little club. We started our own text chain. We cheered when a baby finally finished a bottle. We cried when one had a bad scan. These women, these strangers, they became my actual family. One day, I was scrolling through my phone during a short break and I saw it. A picture my cousin had posted. My father, my stepmom, Aunt Eleanor, all of them laughing and holding wine glasses at a Saturday regatta. The caption read, "Nothing like a perfect day with the family." It felt like I'd been kicked in the chest. Their lives were just continuing. Sailing events, dinners, parties. It was as if I had never existed. As if my daughter's fight for life in a plastic box was just an inconvenient piece of drama they had neatly cut out of their perfect Philadelphia story. I stopped sending updates to the family chat. I just stopped. The question that was consuming me wasn't just will my daughter make it, but why? Why do they dislike me so much? I couldn't understand how people could be so cold. I had no idea. The coldness had only just started. It was the end of the 6th week. Lily was stable. But stable in the NICU just means the current emergency is over. I was in the hospital cafeteria, stirring a cup of awful coffee, my eyes sore from no sleep. This place felt more like home than my own house, filled with tired-looking doctors and the smell of microwave meals. I'd settled into a numb, painful routine. Wake up. Pump. Drive to the hospital. Sit by the isolette. Pump. Talk to doctors. Pump. Go home. Sleep for a few hours. Repeat. Mark and I barely saw each other. My family had vanished. I took out my phone to text Mark an update, and it went crazy. The screen flashed over and over. Dozens of missed calls, so many texts, all from my brother, James. My heart didn't just race, it hammered against my chest. That many calls isn't checking in. That's a disaster. My hands shook so hard I could barely open my phone. I read his last text, sent just a moment before. All capital letters. Clara. Pick up. It's Aunt Iris. She's at Presbyterian. It's serious. Aunt Iris. My mom's other sister. The aunt who was always pushed to the background by Eleanor. The world tilted. I ran from the cafeteria, my food forgotten, and called him. He answered immediately. Clara, where have you been? I've been trying for hours. His voice was strained, panicked. He's a news reporter. He's never panicked. I'm here, James, I'm at the hospital. My phone was on silent. What's going on? What happened to Aunt Iris? There was a heavy silence, and I could hear a hospital announcement in the background on his end. She had a major heart attack this morning, he said, his voice breaking. It's really bad, Clara. They don't think she'll pull through. I leaned against the wall, the cold tile seeping through my shirt. Oh my God. Is anyone with her? Everyone is here, James said. That's why I'm calling. Everyone's at Presbyterian. Dad, Carol, Eleanor, everyone. And look. Dad is asking why you aren't here. He's really upset you haven't come. I couldn't make sense of the words. It was like he was speaking another language. A harsh, cold laugh burst out of me. He's upset? He's upset that I'm not there? Clara, what? Yes, your aunt is. I cut him off, my voice low and steady. Where has he been, James? Where has any of them been? For 6 weeks, no one has come. Not Dad, not Carol, not Eleanor. No one. Not a visit, not a phone call, nothing. The line went completely quiet. I could only hear him breathing, taking it in. When he finally spoke, his voice was totally different. The panic was gone, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. What are you talking about? That can't be right. It is, James. I've been completely alone. But Clara, he said, utterly confused, Aunt Eleanor told us she's been organizing food deliveries for you. She said she's been visiting, sitting with Lily so you could sleep. She said you were completely swamped and had asked for absolutely no visitors. She told everyone she was taking care of everything. James came to the NICU the next day. He's a reporter, so he's trained to question everything, to dig for facts. But when he stood over Lily's isolette, all of that fell away. I watched him scrub his hands and arms raw for 3 whole minutes, just like the nurses instruct. He looked afraid to even get too close to his niece. "Oh, Clara," he whispered, staring at the tiny 2-pound baby. "She's beautiful. I can't believe it." He couldn't finish. He just carefully put one finger through the opening of the isolette and softly touched Lily's foot. After a little while, I led him to the small, plain family room. "I talked to Dad," he said, his voice flat. "The reporter is back. I went to their place last night after I left Presbyterian." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "It's so much worse than we imagined, Clara. This wasn't just Clara needs space. She went for the nuclear option." I didn't understand. "What did she do, James?" He pushed his hands through his hair. "She told Dad you were suffering from severe postpartum psychosis. She said the hospital staff were concerned about you, that they had recommended a total ban on visitors for your own mental health. She told him you were unstable. A risk to yourself and possibly even to Lily." The breath left my body. It felt like a physical hit. "She said what?" "She used your sadness after the miscarriages as evidence," James continued, his voice full of anger. "She convinced Dad you were fragile and not thinking straight. She made him believe that by staying away, he was helping you. He thought he was following medical advice." In that one horrible, clear moment, I saw it all. The thumbs up emojis, the silence. It wasn't just them not caring. It was a lie. A cruel, planned, malicious lie. She had painted me as an insane, hysterical mother to control the family's embarrassment, to keep their perfect image spotless. And right then, I finally got it. It's a classic power move. She's what they call a narcissistic gatekeeper. Eleanor had built her whole self around being the center of the family. She created a system where all information had to go through her. By controlling the story, she controlled everyone. She didn't just cut me off. She cut everyone off from me. It wasn't enough for me to be the compassionate one. She had to make me out to be the unstable one because that made her look like the strong, capable leader. It wasn't just envy. It was a cold, calculated play to keep her power. She was protecting the charity, the family name. My pain wasn't a sad event to her. It was a threat. "She's been lying to our whole family for years," James said, as if he was reading my thoughts. I never saw it until now. I looked at my brother, and the fog of sadness and confusion I'd been living in for 6 weeks finally lifted. It was replaced by something clear and hard and sharp. "Set up a call, James." "What?" "Set up a video call with all of them. I want them to see me. I want them to see my daughter. And I want to see her face when I ask her." James set up the call for that night. He used his laptop in the small beige family room just outside the NICU. My hands were perfectly still. The woman who had cried every night for weeks was gone. Replaced by someone I didn't even know. Someone who felt cold and focused. James started the call. A second later, their faces appeared on the screen. They were all there, crowded into Aunt Iris's hospital room at Presbyterian. My father, Robert, his face aged and tired. My stepmom, Carol, twisting her hands. And in the back, with her arms crossed, was Aunt Eleanor, her face carefully blank, like an executive watching a business deal fall apart. "Clara," my father began, his voice shaky. "Clara." James told us, we had no idea. I spoke first, and my voice was so cold it surprised me. "Look at her." I picked up the laptop and walked the few steps to the big window looking into the NICU. I pointed the camera at the small isolette in the corner, at the gentle blue lights, at the tangle of wires. "This is your granddaughter. Dad, this is Lily. She is 6 weeks old. She weighs 2 pounds. And for 6 weeks, she has been fighting for her life. Alone. And you? You believed a lie. You believed I was crazy because it was easier than just calling me yourself." My father's face completely fell. He buried his head in his hands. Carol was crying openly. But then Eleanor's voice cut in, sharp and annoyed. "Clara, you are being dramatic," she snapped. "This is exactly the kind of scene we were trying to prevent. You were unwell. You are unwell. We were respecting the doctor's advice." "The doctor's advice?" I said, turning the camera back to my face. "Or your advice, Eleanor? You never spoke to a single doctor. You never came here. You never made one meal." "I was protecting this family," she shot back, her calm mask finally shattering. "Protecting your father from your emotional outbursts. Someone had to handle the situation." "Handle it?" I almost laughed. "Is that what you were doing at the children's charity gala? Was that handling the situation? Tell me, how did that picture feel, Eleanor? When you were up on that stage, getting applause for your generosity, how did it feel knowing my daughter was on a breathing machine a few miles away?" I moved closer to the camera, and the whole room went quiet. "You didn't just lie. You performed. You used my daughter's struggle as a backdrop for your own reputation. You didn't protect this family. You protected your image." My father looked up, his eyes wide, first at me on the screen, and then slowly turning to look at Eleanor. The shock on his face wasn't just guilt anymore. It was understanding. He was finally seeing her for who she was. Eleanor's face, for the first time ever, was white with pure anger and fear. She had been caught. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She was finally silent. And in that silence, I found all the peace I needed. I reached over and ended the call. What happened after that call wasn't loud. It was a heavy, profound quiet. The next morning, my father, Robert, and my stepmom, Carol, were standing outside the NICU doors. When I got there, they looked shattered. My father, who I'd only ever seen in sharp suits, looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red. "Clara," he started, his voice rough. We came to meet our granddaughter." There were no long explanations, no excuses, just a deep, heavy regret. I nodded once and led them to the sink. They scrubbed their hands for 3 full minutes, just like James had. I watched my father, this important Philadelphia man, stand over Lily's isolette. And for the first time, I saw the person, not the persona. He was just a grandfather, filled with remorse. "She's beautiful, Clara," Carol whispered, tears on her cheeks. "She's perfect." It wasn't a solution. It wasn't forgiveness. Not then. But it was a beginning. "Our relationship goes forward with the truth from now on," I told them later. "Not with image. Or it doesn't go forward at all." My father just nodded, his eyes locked on Lily. After 12 long, hard weeks, Lily finally came home. She was still small, just over 5 pounds, but she was a real fighter. About a week after we got her settled, our doorbell rang. It was Aunt Eleanor. She hadn't called. She hadn't written. She just showed up. "Clara, sweetie, let me up," her voice buzzed through the intercom. "I have a small gift for Lily's college fund from the family trust." I looked at Mark, who was holding our sleeping daughter. I walked to the intercom, my hands calm. "We don't want a donation, Eleanor." The silence was instant. "Excuse me?" Her voice was sharp, offended. "I am your aunt. I am family. Let me in." I pressed the button one last time, my voice clear and final. No, Eleanor. You are a relative. My family is inside this apartment. You are not welcome here. I ended the call. She buzzed a few more times, and then, she was gone. We held Lily's first birthday party in our little apartment. It was noisy and chaotic and full of real joy. My brother James was there, holding Lily up like she'd won a prize. My Aunt Iris, now doing much better and laughing, was telling her silly stories. My 3 NICU mom friends, the women who had become my real sisters in that clinical, scary place, were there with their own little miracle babies. And my father and Carol were there. They weren't trying to be the center of attention. They were just there, quietly present. My father was on the floor, helping Lily tear wrapping paper off a present. I looked around at this group, this messy, stitched-together family, and I realized what I had learned. We're always told that family is a duty you can't escape, that blood is the most important thing. But it's not. It's not a duty. It's a privilege. It's a title that has to be earned with love, with respect, and with showing up. Walking away from a toxic family member isn't a sign of weakness. It's not giving up. It's a brave choice to protect yourself. It's the moment you finally decide that you and your new, small family deserve a peaceful life more than you deserve that old pain. Have you ever had to figure out what family really means to you? Who are the people you've chosen as your family, the ones who were truly there for you? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below.